It is another Human First AI marketing podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague at Avenue 9. You can find us at avenue9.com, where we are helping you figure out AI and marketing when smashed together. Both of them are giant topics. I feel like no one person can know everything there is to know about AI and or marketing. So if you need some help, go to avenue9.com. And that is also the exact same reason that I'm talking to Josh Porter this week. He's the founder of Thunderwolf Consulting. He does product marketing for AI products, which is a couple of things that I don't know about and I'm excited to dive into. But he's also a best-selling author of The Last Human Marketer. Hopefully that person has not been born yet. And he is host of the Marketing Pack Leaders podcast, which I was a recent guest on. So if you enjoy this episode, go hear my side of the story and all of Josh's questions for me over there at the Marketing Pack Leaders podcast. Josh, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with the title of your book. Why did you pick The Last Human Marketer?
So, as you mentioned, hopefully this person hasn't been born yet, but with so many things being automated in this space, from engineer in the knowledge worker space, from engineering to finance to marketing, there is such a seismic shift in how these functions are being handled. And so marketing is, and specifically product marketing, is very much about messaging, writing, positioning. And that's one of the most basic functions that AI provides. And so you see lots of marketing departments getting reduced or completely decimated. And I had one friend the other day tell me after the launch of the book, he's like, Josh, I had to let my other person, the only other marketer here go. And so I'm literally the last human marketer here at the company. So
yeah, that's tough.
So that's where the title comes from. It's kind of supposed to be timely with what marketers are going through, what companies are going through, and then also using that as a backdrop to tell the story of what marketing with humans look like, and also living with the AI tools that are available to us.
Yeah, I think we're doing very similar things kind of in slightly different ways and audiences, which I think is cool. And then like the human first part for me was really about kind of making sure we don't lose those people that really, like, we got to put our employees first as well as our customers first. And I saw some more recent reports kind of similar things that you just mentioned, of that, like, AI is really bad at strategy. It basically picks the same strategy every single time for every company, or it picks the one that you started with, the one that you prime the pump with. And if you say, is this a good strategy? It will say yes, regardless of whatever the strategy is. So I agree with you that the last human marketer in any organization is probably going to be like a generalist, a strategy person, a writer that needs to connect with humans, and probably somebody to like tie all the pieces together too. Because when I talk about it, I think that like somebody has to orchestrate these systems. Like there's not the AI general intelligence yet that's like, oh, I need to sign up for HubSpot, and then I'm also going to need to tie HubSpot to my website and all like that. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Have you seen like a bucket of challenges, or what are the most common challenges that you see people not being able to automate with AI?
So the challenges that I see actually are being able to that they're relying too much on the automation, and in so much that if you have the same source giving you the information, if everybody's using the same source to write your messaging and your positioning, then it all kind of basically sounds the same. So then where's the differentiation, right? And so that's, again, where the human element comes in. Is like, okay, great. It can be a good shot in the arm for you, but then it also, you need to take it to the next level. And so I think that's where the challenge is that there we're over rotating on just using AI for everything when it comes to marketing instead of using some of that human judgment. And then also on top of that, the the challenge is instead of, you know, not just sounding the same as everyone else, which is already a challenge because you have lots of companies saying they can do the same things. It's very hard to differentiate yourself. So when you're using the same source to create how you're differentiating yourself as everyone else is, then it just still is more of the sea of sameness.
I have a new story on this. So I want to jump in here because one of my clients just ran into a major problem. We've been doing
Okay.
a rebrand, and we have been working on it for about like 6 months or so. And we had launched a new website. She was writing a book and doing a bunch of really cool hard work on her business, repositioning and figuring out all the stuff. And then the book is launching in a couple of weeks. The new website just launched. Get an email from someone in a completely different city that says, hey, you might be interested in our services that we offer, the client offers. We go to this competitor's website who solicited us, and it is scraped almost completely
Ah,
from the new website that we just launched. the
wow.
the bullet points that I wrote are the same. The book that was getting ready to launch in 2 weeks, the cover is the
No.
same with just
Stop it.
different colors. Like
Stop it.
completely, like they just took an AI, went to her website and just rewrote this entire business plan, positioning, like the outline of the website's exactly the same. And I don't know that you can really stop somebody from doing that. The lawsuits kind of say no, like they rewrote it in their own words with AI, but it looks, feels, and sounds exactly the same. And so I appreciate what you're saying. Like this could be completely coincidental if they used the same prompts and same questions and business model that we did, that could have happened. But also, your competitor can just straight copy anything you do now. So you really have to like lean on some, in my opinion, some human connection, some aspect of like, this is me and I'm the one creating this, because anybody can say the same thing or make the same thing in relatively short amount of time, a few hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then that's where, and it goes beyond the messaging, the positioning, and the channels that you're using. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the strategy and the experience that other marketers might have, and being able to create experiences for these prospects and customers, and that could come in the form of a customer reference call. You're not going to be able to replicate that with AI. You got to set up you got to persuade an existing client. You have to set up time with the prospects. You got to be able to get their, their buy-in, and then set up the process for that. And so that's a strategy, or another strategy that can be part of your strategy. Then you could also, you maybe have or need to set up a existing community where there's other peers, customer peers using
Yeah.
your product, and you create that community, cultivate and curate some content, use it as a way for them to engage with each other and share best practices. Those are just two examples, two tactics of a larger strategy that AI is not going to be able to. It might be able to think through that, but it's not going to execute on, at least not to the level that a human marketer is going to be able to do for you. So it's beyond just
Yeah.
copying pasting a website. There's way more to it.
I like that too. So I started thinking about what are some trust signals that are going to be important now and in the future, that this competitor might be able to spin up a similar website, but they don't have the customers, they don't have the 20 years of experience, they don't
Mhm.
have testimonials and reviews built up, and they don't have awards and recognition, or a previous book that was a best seller. They can spin up a new book. So I was trying to really kind of think through and work through what would be human signals that prove you know what you're talking about. And my client has hosted a podcast and interviewed over 200 people and helped over over 200 other startups and stuff. So I think there is a way to clearly differentiate yourself as human and as credible and reliable in this world with AI, but it's different than what those signals were the past 10 years. It was kind of like it took time and money to build a professional website in the 90s, and then like in the
Yeah.
2000s, like you had to have a large social media following. Just the count was like, oh, that's impressive, that takes some time and you must be good. And then that was easy to fake, and then it became like
Mm.
polished video and then unpolished video, and then
Yes.
now we're looking at like, okay, we can fake all of that stuff again. What's the next signal that will let us know that this is really a credible human being on the other side? I think those are all changing, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's so many different avenues that businesses are having to take on how they want to approach marketing and how marketers themselves are trying to adapt to this new environment. And it is hard. It's tough to when you have this shift like this that all of society is experiencing. There's going to be bumps along the way for sure. I mean, of course, it happened with if we're talking about history, you know, similar things happened when mobile became a thing, and that's probably the
Yeah.
last biggest shift that happened. Now that wasn't necessarily going to be a situation where it seemed like it was going to replace people's jobs, although you argue maybe it was just desktop or
Yeah.
other opportunities, but it's not like it was encroaching on somebody's specific function like AI is now, and so it's such a dramatic change that businesses are having to adapt. The marketing function specifically is having to adapt. So being able to kind of show the value, at least for marketers, for the AI scale ups that I consult with, is being able to talk about what experience do you have, what ways can you differentiate beyond just positioning and messaging? What are the experiences you can provide for prospects and customers, and go beyond just what does a pretty website look like?
Well, I'm glad you went there because I wanted to kind of flip the second half of this podcast on its head, which is when you are a new AI startup and maybe you don't have a large track record and all of the experience that I just talked about with my client that's been a consultant for a long time. What if you just made an AI product and you're a startup and you're trying to scale and get users? I feel like this is a wild market to be in right now. In some ways, it's awesome. We've never had this ability to just have an idea for an app or a game or a piece of software and be
Mhm.
able to go make it a reality. And so, in some ways, it's wild. The last 3 years, I think, were different. That kind of like now with AI was a big selling point, and
Mhm.
now it's kind of flipped to like every software that was on the market is becoming the same piece of software. They're all adding like call
Yeah.
recording and AI features and chatbot features, and you're like, okay, great. Like everything can do everything now. And then any tool that kind of seems cool or can be picked up and swallowed up by one of these big things at any moment too. So who are you kind of seeing that's having success, or and if we wanted to launch a cool product here, especially in the AI SaaS space, what does that take in 2026 and beyond?
Mhm. So I focus on AI scale up specifically. So they're past product market fit. They're around 5 to 20 million in revenue. They're Series B. So they're
Right.
they're they're not enterprises, but they're not babies either. So it's it's important for at least where I come into play, is that they kind of have some of that groundwork already established. Now, now to grow to scale, it's important to understand that there's a lot of founders, specifically they got the technical proficiency, they've got some of they've got some of the business acumen, but a lot of founders that I'm talking to, they could do some of the marketing basics, but that's not their forte. That's not their, their bread and butter. They've come up with the idea. They've been a way to create they've come up a way with creating the product, but sharing the idea is different than creating the idea. And so, and that's where marketing really comes into play, at least where I've been plugged in, is coming with the experience of over a decade in marketing AI. There are very specific things that are important on how you develop a strategy on explaining what it does. And it's not just about, it's a little easier now. Before, when I was marketing it back in
Mhm.
2018, it was like AI was just a science project to a lot of
Right.
companies. And so now it's the hype cycle. Now everybody wants it. But you still have the challenge, and this goes for other software too, but particularly AI. Nobody cares about your context windows, how big it is, or
Right.
the amount of parameters that your model has. What they care about is if it solves a particular pain that you're looking to uh, close up. So whether that's a contact center trying to increase their customer satisfaction, or small business with a head of learning at a retail oil change company, car service company that wants to improve their the training of all their technicians using training tools that are based off of AI capabilities. They have particular pains they're trying to solve. They don't care if it's AI. They don't care if it's software. Honestly, they just want a problem. They just have a pain that they need to get solved. And if AI can do that, all the better. Great. Then let's do it. If there's something else that they can do it, that they can solve it, then that's fine. But that's where the AI scale ups have to really talk about, number one, the pain the customer's experiencing and showing that you understand where they're coming from. And the two, how the AI is going to do it better than some of the alternatives, whether it's the status quo, if they're using spreadsheets, if they're using manual tactics, whatever it is, show that you understand the pain and how you can do it better with AI.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's just really great marketing across the board because, anybody that's listening here and is not techie, my favorite quote is nobody ever wanted to buy a quarter-inch drill bit; they just wanted a quarter-inch hole.
Yes.
So, like, going back to a really old product like that, you can't really sell the features and benefits and the widgets, and especially if you're in any kind of technical product or even engineering and architecture and law, people are overwhelmed by that. That's why they need your help to solve their problem, is because they don't understand all the technical ins and outs of that. And so really being able to talk about their story, their problems, what an ideal world would look like when they solved their problem is more important than we're ISO certified and got our compliances and all that
Yes.
stuff that nobody really knows or cares about.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Um, what about the question though of competition? I'm imagining in scaling startups too. Like, have you seen their larger strategies, or do you have any thoughts on like um, kind of how you compete or stand out and survive in this world with AI? That I feel like a lot of technical founders are also facing, that like they used to be good at like coding, and the
Mm,
doing the hard part wasn't having the idea, it was building the app and the software that works. And now that's kind of becoming the easier part. And that may or may not be true. You hear about these vibe coded stuff, and I'm not sure that they're actually better software than people, the
mhm.
humans that actually coded it. And coding still has all the same problems that you talked about in your book with the last human marketer, is sort of there's going to be a last human coder in all of these
Yeah.
SaaS companies too, but it does feel like somebody with more money or more people could just rip you off any day. How do you defend against that?
So to differentiate yourself amongst a bunch of the other competitors and try to understand ways to why how are you just not another vibe coder coding platform, or how are you not just another conversational AI platform? That's where some of these specific strategies I was mentioned earlier is you can say specific things. You can say you have specific features that your competitor doesn't have. Sure, everybody can do that. But then that's where it goes beyond just the product itself. There's other ways to differentiate yourself. Do you have external communities? Do you have external advocates? Do you have analysts who are in your corner, or are they speaking for you? Do you have relationships with the
Yeah.
press to help kind of echo the messaging that you're trying to share with your audience? Do you have the ability to reach these customers in different channels? Are you doing in-person events? Are you doing specific, very targeted campaigns and outreaches to your customers? So there's different strategies. It's not just about the core messaging and the
Yeah.
positioning. It's about how you're reaching these customers to differentiate yourself. So yeah, the product might be slightly different. The product might be able to do this, that, or the other a little bit better. But in the end, there's these strategies that will may be different, that can differentiate yourself, these different types of outreach methods. But also, again, if some of these other uh, competitors are just speaking about their features and not your pain, then that's an easy one. If you're talking about the customer's pain, that's how you differentiate yourself. You make it about them, the customer, not about you.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking my language again with the human first and customer first stuff. I love all those suggestions. I think the harsh reality, if I had to, smack a SaaS founder and wake him up a little bit, is I've kind of seen that people feel like they deserve a larger share of the pie than they currently have, or that they deserve more attention than that they're currently getting. And I think my question to those strategies that you asked is like, do you really have a reason? Like if they can just straight copy and knock off your product and that's all you were building, you didn't have anything of value. Any,
Mhm.
5 years ago before AI, any VC founder would have said, sorry, you don't have sales, you don't have customers, you don't have a community, you don't have live events, you don't have, all the
Right.
stuff that you're talking about. You don't have customer service built out in a way that is defensible. And anybody could have ripped you off before too. It would have just taken more work.
Yeah.
And so I do think that's a really important kind of strategy part that founders and any company needs to get right first, which is what are you going to do as a human that brings some sort of value outside of AI, but also outside of your product or service? Like, are you going to be the one that's most visible? Do you have the widest spread local community? Do you have the biggest online community?
Mm.
What's that hook that you're going to do better or differently than anybody else? Otherwise, like if it's just about the product, the pitch or the feature, people can knock those off, and especially lowest price. Don't ever do the race to the bottom.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
just not worth it. You have to really work hard to remain the lowest price, especially in a global market like software or tech. So
Yeah.
that's crazy. I wanted to give you a kind of a two shots at where this plays out in the future, because we are in this weird transition time. For your ideal kind of clients and people that you work with in AI and SaaS products, what do you think the world looks like maybe in the near future, like 2030, 3 to 5 years from now? How does this all shake out? Does the bubble burst? Does it become, back to human kind of scrappy startups, or is there some sort of like boom from all these AI products and other stuff coming out?
So I had lunch with the dean of a computer science department at a large university a few months ago, and he was explaining how the engineers, their graduating students, typically were getting jobs left and right, but recently having a hard time getting placed. And he was talking to the hiring managers of these companies, or what would have been the hiring managers, and they're like, I can just use AI to do what a junior engineer could do. And he's like, okay, that may be true, but then who's going to replace you in 5
Right.
years? So to answer your question, I think there's been an over rotation towards let's get everything AI. We can save all this money. We don't have to get humans because humans are expensive. I don't know if that's the best long term strategy, given in the future how organizations work, how strategy works, how some of these particular businesses operate. You still need some humans at the helm. So I think there will be some shifting back to unless AI gets significantly better and um
I'm leaning
a little
towards us
more
not
advanced.
getting
I don't think it's
to
gonna be crazy.
AGI in the next 3 to
Yeah.
5 years. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think they become super intelligent, but I do wanna ask you about that one here in a minute, but I wanted to second your take. I think that's a really good take. I have seen a couple of forward-thinking, companies. I forget who it was now, IBM or one of the big ones that have been around a while. They're like, "No, we're gonna hire up engineers. Anybody that other people are laying off, like, we're gonna keep them around because in 3 to 5 years, like, we're gonna have a bench of people to help us figure this out that other people are
yeah.
not going to have." And they had the kind of cash and the size to weather that. But I think also we're seeing that AI is not cheaper than humans at the moment. It's got some ways to go on that. So as these companies get pressed and go public to become profitable, these prices are going up. And maybe if you're a small business and you pay $200 for Claude Code, that's great. But if you're an enterprise company and you're paying, the token
Yeah.
prices,
Yeah.
you're spending more on tokens than you were on programmers to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
It's becoming not as great a deal as it was at the beginning when they were giving it away and losing billions of dollars
Yes.
doing that. So I see that coming to a head in the next 3 to 5 years too.
Yeah.
But then if we look way out, if you look out in our lifetime, and let's say 30 years from now, I'm assuming we will get to some sort of AGI or whatever the you know technical possibility is of that. It might not be a super intelligence is even possible, but what's your take? What sci-fi movie do you think we end up in?
I
And
mean,
like,
yeah, I
is
don't
there a last human marketer 30 years from now?
yeah, I don't think we're gonna get quite to the, like, Terminator level where Skynet takes over. Um,
Maybe not in
but
30 years.
maybe. But, yeah, there definitely will be shifts in how people work, I think. I think
Mm.
over like, we talked about the 5 years from now, but, like, what's gonna happen between 5 and 30 years from now, I think there's going to be an adaptation of hopefully this not over-rotating. We won't over rotate back to, not using AI. I don't think that will definitely not happen, but I think there will be correction of y- y- how humans interact and marketers and small businesses use AI to build and market their companies. So, what does that look like? There might be different roles. There might be
Mhm.
different types of marketing. There might be different types of engineering. So I'm not, a foundation model expert or someone that, I'm not a, uh coder by any sense of the term, but it seems to me that in that far distant future, I think there's going to be, we will have had more experience between kind of the human and AI relationship. And so I think some roles will evolve and we'll see how we need to kind of have this like co-working dynamic.
Yeah, I my previous guest here talked about kind of the AI gold rush and that we're kind of in this like time of the Wild West right now where we don't like we know there's some gold in these hills, but we don't know where they are and
Mm.
nobody's built the roads yet
Yeah.
or like any of the stops and the stuff to get us out there. And so we're all kind of just wandering out into this desert or mountainous wilderness. And it's really hard to see what the West will look like in 30 years from now. But
Yeah.
there will be new ad platforms. There'll be different ways to reach customers. There'll be, I'm guessing, individual AI and other things
Hmm.
that will be more personalized and fragmented. But the marketing challenges I think are going to be very similar to what they've always been.
Oh
We
yeah.
keep getting more channels. We keep getting more ways to make noise, and then we keep doing bad marketing and burning those channels, so we have to find new ones. And I think that cycle will continue, but the ones that are always kind of honest, straightforward, great emotional marketing that you're talking about will continue to work no matter what the platform or channel is.
Absolutely. There's marketing principles that are everlasting, right? That it's like they go beyond the zeitgeist, and they're just evergreen uh, nuggets that go beyond whatever the latest and greatest technology is or channel is. So I think that's where marketers need to think about focusing their efforts and what scale ups can recognize in terms of how they can use human marketers.
So we've been talking to Josh Porter, founder of Thunderwolf Consulting. You can find him on LinkedIn or at the website there too. It is thunderwolf.co. He's host of the Marketing Pack Leaders podcast and the best-selling book, The Last Human Marketer. Go check that out wherever you get your books. We know where you get your books, but I'm not giving them a plug. You can go get it now. And Josh, last question for you is how can you help us, or how can we help you with all that?
Just check out the Last Human Marketer and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts, specifically if you're AI scale up founder. Hope for you to find it very helpful and a bit of a sneak preview of what I can offer.
That is awesome. And again, for Avenue 9, you can find us at avenue9.com, where we do human first AI marketing, which means we'll help you solve those big three problems. The AI strategy, the systems that you need to put in place, and the scalable storytelling that can work with AI in having a message that if you use AI, doesn't get watered down and be bland and become like everybody else that we were talking about on the podcast today. So if you need help with any of those three, go to avenue9.com. Until next time, keep going, everybody. Have fun.